I'm Chief Justice, retired Richard Barajas. I'm the Executive Director of the National Organization for Victim Assistance, and I'm here to talk to you about victim tracking and victim notification that's available. But understand that before I came to the National Organization as the Executive Director, I had been the elected district attorney for the 83rd Judicial District of the state of Texas. I served there until I was appointed Chief Justice of the Texas Court of Appeals. I retired in 2006, and now I'm at NOVA helping victims. But for a second, ladies and gentlemen, let's disregard all of that. What I want to talk to you about, and talk to you from the heart, is about the experiences of Richard Barajas, who was from Fort Stockton, Texas, and what happened to me and why I am here today. I remember so well the morning in January of 1987 when I got a call from an older brother at 5 a.m. It's the kind of call that you never want to ever get because you know it's not a social call. This call that morning was my defining moment because I was informed of the murder of another older brother in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So suddenly, I became the victim of crime, of homicide, and within hours, the family converged at my mother's house to express condolences and grief. Now, to fast forward through the process, after the trial, there was a conviction, and it was a conviction of two individuals who had just been paroled from San Quentin. They were on their way to Albuquerque, New Mexico when they committed a robbery, and my brother, coming to the aid of a hostage, was shot and killed. This murder defined my life, defined the life of all of our family members, no different than victimization as a whole impacts your lives. After the trial, we moved on with our lives. It defined my life to the extent that I sought public service, and that is what took me to the Office of District Attorney, and of course as a member of the Texas Appellate Judiciary, and today as the Executive Director of NOVA. But this is what I need you to understand. Regardless of the titles, my education, the awards, anything else I may have accomplished in my life, when you peel the levels of the onion off, what I was a helpless victim of crime. As well educated as I was in the law degree, I suddenly forgot completely what the judicial process was about. Family members would ask me, what's going to happen in court? And I couldn't remember. It was almost as if somebody took an eraser and just blanked my brain out. So we sat there very patiently and were treated very, very well by the victim's office in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And there was a conviction, and we moved on. But I have to tell you, like so many of you, there wasn't a day that passed where I wondered about the perpetrators of this murder. I didn't dwell on it, but I just kind of wondered, are they still in prison and where are they? And I'm talking about 20 years later, 25 years later, since 1987. And one day, I came across APRIS and its service of Vine. Back when I was a district attorney, there was no such service. You could not track people other than calling, if you were lucky, the prison system or the local county jail. We were on our own. But now, all of a sudden, within the past year, I realized, well, I've got friends that I've met at APRIS and Vine. And I knew Vine existed, but I never, ever, ever took advantage of the service. And I'm an educated person. And then one day, once again, as I've mentioned, I so often would reflect on this, I pulled up Vine on my laptop. It was late one night. And I filled in the information that many of you might have started filling out but never completed. And I got to the point where I had to press submit. And I sat at this screen thinking for so many years I was wondering what happens if I press submit and Vine doesn't have them in their system. How will I react? What will I tell my family? So I stared at the screen for what seemed to be ages. Finally, I picked up the courage and I pressed enter. So I realized for the very first time they were still in prison. They were still in prison in New Mexico. But what alarmed me was that one of them had a petition for writ of habeas corpus to try to void his conviction and get out of prison after having killed my brother. I would never have known about that writ of habeas corpus because the victim system in New Mexico counted me as a statistic of not being able to notify. Now, I can't accept that because, quite frankly, at the time, there were no more than 5 chief justices in this country that were Hispanic. They could have found me, but they never did. Now, if they tried and didn't find me, I still can't apologize. But what I will tell you that for the first time since 1987, I was able to find out what is happening with the killers of my brother. And because of Vine, I was able to breathe, and I was able to call my family and tell them, do you know what's happening? This is what I just found out, and told them about Apris and Vine, and told them how we have this system out there that you can register for. And if you register for the system, and if you want to be alerted, you'll be told. So now I'm alerted. I was told that he is still in prison. The writ of habeas corpus was denied. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. So what I'm telling you is, first, we sometimes think we are very important people in this world. But the lowest common denominator for me was the helplessness of not knowing. So for victim services providers, for victim specialists in this country, for victim advocates, for coordinators, regardless of what you do, if you are in the business of delivering victim services, you need to get online. You need to know about Apris and its service Vine that will help victims of crime at least gain the confidence of knowing what is happening with victimization in their lives and their family. I have no doubt that had I not done that, I would still be thinking about it every single day. And I'm telling you now, I have not slept better, and I'm able to do my job with increased confidence. So I am unbelievable believer in Vine and the ability to track offenders in this country.